Good morning from Radically Rational and RadicallyRational.com. You know, if you're going to call your company Radically Rational, this is one of those days when you better prove it and you better come through. Certainly what happened yesterday came as no surprise. Anyone who was paying attention knew that the instant the Supreme Court agreed to take up this case in Mississippi, that it was going to end with the elimination, after almost a half century, of Roe versus Wade. And then if there was any sliver of a remaining doubt, that was removed by that leak draft opinion a month ago. So this was going to happen. And when you woke up yesterday morning, it being a Friday late in June, you had to figure that that was going to be the day. So these are my concerns right now. This opinion was so contradictory in a lot of ways. It was so hypocritical in a lot of ways. It was based on some intellectual sophistry in a lot of ways. And the pretzel logic that was employed here was disappointing, particularly when we're talking about people who were supposed to have Supreme Court level intellects. The hypocrisy, look at what happened here. On Thursday, this same court told us that open carry gun rights were something that had to be protected at the federal level, nationally, and those standards had to be uniform. Why? Because they like guns. And then 24 hours later, we're told that abortion, which understand has been a constitutionally guaranteed right for almost 50 years, that it was up to the 50 different states to sort all of that out. That's a pretty hard 180 in 24 hours time. In writing the majority opinion, Justice Alito said that, well, this was all based on very weak reasoning to begin with, talking about the original Roe decision back in 1973. Mr. Justice, if you felt that way, you should have said something at your confirmation hearing when asked directly about that. But if you look at his opinion, it's based on the fact that the word abortion is not in the Constitution. Okay, there are a lot of words that are not in the Constitution. And yet we're told that other decisions are based on the fact that there is a specific reference to that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, Justice Alito, because he's trying to cover his tracks, not to mention his backside, went out of his way yesterday to say that we should not infer anything regarding other issues with respect to the decision that was rendered yesterday. He said that. He clearly doesn't mean it. He's lied before at a confirmation hearing. Gorsuch has lied before. Kavanaugh has lied before. So this should not come as any surprise here. Barrett, maybe a little softer, but has lied before. And it's amazing to me, if we were to play word association, this has not been the Supreme Court, it's been the abortion court. If we were just play a parlor game, I say Supreme Court, you say abortion, as if there's been nothing else out there. I will remind you that this was a constitutionally guaranteed right. And these justices had been completely dishonest with respect to their intentions once they reached the court. Unbelievable. And then Clarence Thomas, I guess at some level, I respect his transparency. He goes out of his way to say, yes, we can infer things to this. And now we're going after contraception and we're going after gay marriage. I don't know about you. I don't see the word contraception in the Constitution. I don't see any reference to gay marriage in the Constitution. And really, that's my point here. It's the hypocrisy, it's the contradictions, it's the sleight of hand, it's the dishonesty that bothers me the most. Look, I'm not naive. I'm not Susan Collins, for example. Of course, there has always been political partisanship on the court. Of course. But this is now fissioned out of control, where the Supreme Court is nothing other than a political action committee. So I'm trying to look ahead on this, and I think the Republicans may have won the battle and lost the war. And yes, I am referring to the majority on the Supreme Court as Republicans because they behave more like political partisans than they do arbiters of justice and interpreters of the Constitution. I do not think they realize what they unleashed yesterday. Be very careful what you wish for because you may get it. I shouldn't have to say this, but I will because it's 2022. I am decrying violence of any type without exception. Without exception. There is no reason. In fact, there's no excuse. In fact, you cannot resort to that. But I don't think they realize what they've unleashed. You have disempowered more than half of our population. You have taken a constitutionally guaranteed right away from them. They no longer control their own bodies. And if we talk about individual rights, individual sovereignty, wouldn't control of your body be at the tip of the spear? We have in fact relegated them to second-class citizen status. And I think it's pretty understandable that they don't like it. So the women of this country and the men who love the women of this country and do not want to see them subjugated, this is not a transient issue. This is not going to go away. So I mentioned the fact that the Republicans kind of caught the car. They've been chasing the car. What you going to do now? Because here's the deal. Prior to yesterday, I would have told you that the Republicans were on their way to landslide victories pretty much everywhere in the midterm elections and had a really good chance of getting back in the White House in 2024. I think that calculus has changed completely right now. And again, all I really ask for is consistency and transparency. And let's talk about this. This may be the elephant in the room. I'm going to say it. We have justices who determined that decision who were driven by nothing other than their personal evangelical religious beliefs. Now, wouldn't you hope that if there were 9 people in America who understood this whole separation of church and state thing, it would be the people on the Supreme Court, and they're the ones who betrayed that. And I know you better than you know you. You're going to tell me, nowhere in the Constitution does it say separation of church. You know what? Bag that. Bag that. Yes, it does. What do you think the Establishment Clause is? It says it in so many words, conspicuously and unambiguously. And we have justices who are making decisions, in fact, were elevated to the court just because of their personal religious beliefs. That's not the way we do things here. I'd like you to go over to radicallyrational.com for a more comprehensive discussion on this. And also, if you'll go to the sports blog this morning, here's what you do. Go to a little tab that says Our News and scroll down, and then it says The Games People Play, which is the daily sports blog. I have released my way too early 2022 NFL playoff picks and predictions. Yes, it is a cheap trick on a slow sports Saturday in June. It's a cheap trick because I want you to want me. We're radically rational.